Are you tired of riding the monthly emotional roller coaster? Or maybe you're worried about your age. Maybe you're feeling beat up with your body betraying you when all you want to do is hold your baby in your arms. I'm Dr. Karen, and I have a vision. It's that every woman who desires to have a baby can and does. I help women like you realize that your history is not your destiny. I reveal powerful, practical, yet often neglected details that you can use to reclaim your body's natural wisdom, bridge the mind-body connection, and turn your baby-making possibilities into probabilities. Hello, and welcome to the Pregnancy Success Podcast. I'm Dr. Karen. Thanks for being here again this week. This is where I get to help you reclaim your body's innate wisdom so you can awaken, align, and amplify your baby-making capabilities so that you can increase that probability of holding your baby in your arms. And this is by simple, proven, and often neglected pieces of information. Today, we're going to talk about your vision, what it is that you would love. I call this your beautiful baby blueprint. Let me ask you some questions. Do you feel that you're doing absolutely everything you can and still you're not making any success towards having your baby? Maybe you really want to get pregnant now and you want to start growing your family, but you're really not sure what else you could do. Or maybe you've seen a fertility specialist and started the workup. You may even have done any rounds of IVF or tried other assisted reproductive technologies, and still you're not holding your baby. Well, today we're going to let go some of this medical hype, letting go of your symptoms, your diagnosis if you have one, and or failed treatments. We're going to let all that medical stuff go, because today we want to set you up, prime you for that big event. I don't want to call it a race or a game, but if I were to make a comparison or an analogy, if you were going to do the Tour de France and someone gave you this most amazing bicycle and had all the bells and whistles, it's top notch, all set to go, and you yourself had all the gear to wear, but you really hadn't trained for it, how well do you think you're going to do in the Tour de France? And sometimes I think that's what, if you're feeling challenged and you're not having the success that you would love, and you dive right into the assisted techniques and going to all these other measures, really, it's like giving yourself that big Tour de France bicycle ready to go, but you haven't laid the groundwork. You haven't done the initial steps. You haven't done the training, those other critical pieces that are essential for you to be able to be successful in crossing the finish line. And I'm not looking at any particular time for your race, but just actually that you cross the finish line and you're holding your baby. Because there is a language of success, a proven language of success, no matter what it is that you're looking at, doing a race, building a business, or having amazing, optimal, vibrant health so you can have your baby. And even though you may feel like you have optimal, vibrant health and you're falling short, there are still several things that you can do to increase those chances. So today we're going to go over that beautiful baby blueprint. And if you really want to follow along, you can go to my website, thebabymakinggenius.com, or go to the show notes at the end, and there's a link to your copy of the beautiful baby blueprint. And we're going to work on creating this vision, this desire, writing out in detail what it is that you would love to have, be, do, and create, namely your baby. And when you look at what it is that you can do for yourself to help you get closer to holding that baby, yes, there's all the medical things, all the other things that I may tell you and suggest to you to do, from things to eat, things to otherwise do. And those are the how pieces. The how, the individual steps, the things that you can do, action steps that you can take to make a difference. However, there is a piece that's even bigger than that, and it is the what. What would you love? The power question, not what do you want? Want. I hear that want word, and I remember my son when he was 3, when we were at the grocery store checkout, and I want this and I want that, and oh my gosh, the want. it just drones on with a low energy. We want to raise your energy, raise your vibration, and create that beautiful dynamic so that you can lean into and have that baby. And the what you would love, the what piece exactly is about 90% of what it is that you need to work on. It's the most important piece. And when you lean into the specifics of what you want, this beautiful baby blueprint, then you can get closer to having the things that you would love in your life. My next analogy with the want and what you would love versus the hows is two devices for temperature. One is a thermometer. A thermometer reads the temperature of what's going on in the body. You put it underneath the tongue, you get a temperature. There's all sorts of other fancy ones under your armpit. It can read the skin, but a thermometer reads your temperature. But another device for temperature is called the thermostat. And the thermostat is something that you get to set. You get to create. You get to decide what it is, that temperature that you would love. And you can do the same thing for your health and wellness. So today we're going to look at your thinking, what you're thinking, how you're thinking, and lean into those specific details so that you can get closer to not only having and holding your baby. So let's dial up your thinking. As we dial up our thinking, I just want to point out that I didn't create this proven process. Someone called Napoleon Hill is the person that I was exposed to who discussed it and talked about that thinking power. And my mentor in my coaching designation, Mary Morrissey, she actually codified how bits and pieces of this work to put it into a full frame so that it makes it easier to do. It's more repeatable, it's more predictable, and it can happen with anything that you choose to do. And why is this important? Why is it important to think about your thinking and to look at your thinking and even to create or write down a vision? It's really important because it gets you closer to what it is that you would love. When you think about what you would love, that's what you draw and attract to yourself. That's what you get to co-create if you're spiritual and you believe in a God. This is how you get to achieve the things that you achieve. Because if you keep thinking negative things and failure and fear and no success or feeling shame and guilt because you're not having the success that you would love, we seem to have more of that. By shifting our thinking and leaning into some more positives with our thinking, we can boost up our energy, increase our reserve, and actually bring about what it is that we would love because we bring that energy into our own environment. So this language, you may have not been exposed to it, not aware of it, but it's just when you know how it works, then it works for you. We can't make things work backwards so that it can work in your specific circumstances. So if we want to look at this language of success, I want to use one simple common example many of you probably have experienced so far, and that is you're in traffic. And so you're driving along, things are going well, but all of a sudden, zoom, someone goes by you and cuts right in front of you. And for some of us, that could be very infuriating, and it makes you angry. You can just seethe with rage. And for others of us, it's like, whoa, be safe. Take that step off the gas and just go with more of the flow and say, let's see how that's going to turn out, what's going to play next. And just kind of be more in the moment with relaxed. And so let's take a step back. This scenario between you and somebody else, someone who's like, whoa, road rage, how dare he, to, okay, I'm going to just take my foot off the gas. Maybe I'm going to step on the brake and tap it, slow down a little bit more, and just be safe. You both were thinking different things. The thinking piece, the event happened first. You both witnessed the same event, but your responses are different because you were thinking differently. And when we think something, we have this vibration in our body with our cerebral spinal fluid, and that reverberates throughout the body, and therefore we have feelings and emotions that come out. And based on what we feel and how we emote, we take certain actions. Well, the guy who was like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? How come you cut me off? He might switch lanes himself, step on the gas, look him outside the window and just, not be very kind. And the other person just took their foot off the gas and is carrying on, getting to their space, wherever they're heading to, as safely as possible. So the different feelings based on the thinking gave different actions. And the actions then lead to our results. So the person who kind of, I'll get you, and then just speeds off, goes down their merry way, getting to where we need to go, may feel that frustration, that anger, that irritation. The first person they see when they get into the parking lot, they may and go on about it. Same thing at, their morning break, at lunch, they may post about it on Facebook. That they sometimes carry throughout the whole day. And it just envelops the rest of the things that are going on to them. And then they don't realize that it's connected to when they spilled their coffee or that they dropped their sandwich on the floor when they unwrapped it for their lunch. We don't realize what it is, those emotions and those feelings when we take those actions, how that energy can just doesn't serve us well. Versus the person who said, oh, well, let's be safe, get to where you're going. That's what you need to do, and go off their merry way and go down their exit and get to wherever they're going. And then they get to where they're going and they move on to the next thing in their life. They're not ruminating or worrying about what's happened 5 minutes ago, an hour ago, earlier that morning to work. They're living in that moment. So therefore, it doesn't have that negative impact on the rest of their day. So you can nurse it, you can curse it, and then you can rehearse it, or you can reverse it and let it go. And just not get into that energy of the stress and the irritation and the frustration. So this language of success is what you're thinking, your thoughts, reflect in the body with those vibrations that reverberates and are expressed as emotions. And then those emotions that we're feeling, we take actions on those emotions. And based on those actions, we get the results that we're having. And so if you didn't know this process, this language of success before now, it's not your fault why you were having the challenges that you're having in whatever area of your life. Here now, maybe your health and wellness with having a baby. But now that you know your thinking has a large contributing factor, 90% or more, depending on whatever other studies and information you're looking at. Some say it's 95, some say it's 99% of the what makes a difference. So you can achieve what it is that you would love. So now that you know this, you are 100% responsible for your results. And now it's time to take ownership of that. Now that you know that, it's not like, oh, I'm doomed because I can't do anything about it. The exact opposite is so. Now that you know, you can find the resources, get the help, see what else you can do, and continue to listen to this podcast so that you can learn other tools of success, other pieces that are going to make the difference, so that when you're doing the next thing, whatever the next thing may be, maybe it's, well, this is cycle time, honey, it's time to get romantic tonight, versus we're doing assisted reproductive technologies like IVF, and you want to have the success with whatever method you're doing. I want you to have the success. That's my dream for you. That's my goal for you. And that's what I would love for you. And so the reason why this works really well is the fact that I myself, I got into the rut of I would struggle to get pregnant. I had my appendix out when I was 13. That doctor said she would struggle to my mom. That was in the back of my head. And then it came to the front of my head as I got older. And then when I was dating and realizing, oh, I might have challenges. I'm going to struggle. So, found Mr. Right. And then we decided that we wouldn't wait to have babies. And we waited. And we waited because month after month after month, I wasn't getting pregnant. I got really frustrated. And then the frustration grew and grew and grew. So it affected our relationship. It affected me at work. It became a challenge. And so I was asking for help. I was talking to the doctors. I was having the blood tests. I was having the ultrasounds. I was talking to the reproductive endocrinologist about my fertility and seeing what I could do. Other things that I could do besides IVF, because that wasn't on the table for me. It doesn't follow with my Catholic values and beliefs and upbringing, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. But we want it to work more successfully for you. We want you to be in that right place to receive all the goodness from that assisted technique. And so I decided this is crazy. Like, my life's a wreck. And when I went home to visit my mom and dad, I chatted with my mom, and my mom said, after telling her what was going on, "Karen, darling, don't you remember what you said to me after we had that 6-week appointment with the doctor, where he told you that you would struggle thing?" And of course, I couldn't remember. And mom, puts her hands on her hips like me when I was 13, being very indignant, and said, "No one, not even him, is going to tell me I can't have my 2 babies, a boy first and a girl second, just like you, Mommy." What a light bulb went off. And as I went back after the time home with mom and dad, back to work, back to my husband, and, letting go of all the medical stuff, letting go of all those pieces of being poked and prodded and investigated, we just decided to do, what was good for us. So we were going to have our romantic times whenever it suited us. It didn't matter when it fell into my cycle. And I looked at doing more things for me. So I leaned into some more fun time with my friends and getting to the gym a little bit more. And I did some tweaking with my diet, and the exercising was another piece. But I do love going to the gym. It was a big delight for me to be able to get out and do that. And when I made those shifts 3 months later, just like, how easy could that be? I was pregnant, and it was so fantastic. And so we want to get off that roller coaster or that hamster wheel of that vicious cycle of negative and frustration, fear and doubt. And it doesn't mean you're not going to have some doubts along the way. And it doesn't mean that occasionally there might be a little bit of fear come in the way, but you don't want it to take you by the hand and lead you. You can continue to grow with having some fear. So I'm so excited that this will help you too. You can set yourself up for success every single day. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday or last week or last month or the last year or more. Today is the day. Today, this moment, you can change your mind, do something different, take one additional step, and move in the direction of what you would love. You wonder how you're going to do this? Well, it's done with the beautiful baby blueprint. It's all described in the handout in the link below. And let's go through that together right now. This beautiful baby blueprint asks you the one powerful question: what would you love? What would you love? Not what can you do with the resource you have? Not what can you do based on what everybody else says based on your age? Not what else can you do based on the blood tests that a doctor did at one point in time? It's what would you love? Letting go of all limitations. If nothing else can hold you back, what is that beautiful life with your baby, with your family? How wonderful is that? The beautiful baby blueprint is your North Star. It's guiding you to where you want to go. Because if you can't see that final destination, it's almost impossible to get there. It's like a GPS. When you set in your destination, I live, for example, in St. John's, Newfoundland. So I'm in the easterlymost point of North America, in Canada. And if I were going to go to Vancouver, BC, in the westerlymost point of Canada, I'm going to plug in the destination in my address. I'm going to visit my aunt out in Vancouver. So I plug into my GPS, and I can see when I pull back and look at it really small, a little squiggle line, my St. John's to my Vancouver. And it looks pretty straightforward with a few ups and downs. But that's several days of driving. So when I turn it on to work and start from where I am, there's this turn and that turn, and this is how I get there. And along the way, there's going to be detours. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be things that are closed. So, a bridge might be washed out. Something else may be under construction. So I may not get there exactly the way my GPS told me, but I've got a plan. I have my destination in mind from where I'm going to start, and I'm going to connect the two. And when I connect the two of them, and I start making inroads, start taking steps, then I see what's working, what's not, and finding out what I could do different, what I could do better. And it's not necessarily all the medical stuff that I can do. We're going to talk about a few of these other things upcoming episodes, but knowing what it is that you would like and describing it is key. Because I know that if I am only going to the grocery store and there are 3 lights, traffic lights that I have to go through to get there, and I waited only for when I knew the green lights were there, well, when would I ever leave? You've got to start. And then along the way, you're going to see the different turns you can take, different things you can do, and how you can make it better so you can get to your final destination. So let's dive into this beautiful baby blueprint. What it is, the specifics are that make it so powerful, such an amazing tool, that North Star that's going to draw you closer and closer to having the baby that you desire. Well, the first thing is timing. Your timing is, when are you writing this? Are you writing it from 1 year from today? Are you writing it from 3 years from today, 5 years from today, 10 years from today? Because if you're filled with worry and doubt, hopelessness, helplessness, you're feeling overwhelmed, 1 year from now, your body, your mind, your subconscious mind is still going to tell you it's not going to be any different a year from now. So we want to look a little further out. 3 years, 5 years might be even easier. 10 years for some is the easiest. And therefore, you're going to write your beautiful baby blueprint, this vision, in the present tense, like it's happening or happened. So you're writing it, let's say, 5 years from now, and how wonderful that is. The next piece is that power question. What would I love? Again, not what can I do based on my age, the blood tests, what the doctors, what society, what my family history, what my personal history has said so far. Now, other things that I think about. What would I love? And when you think about what you would love, take some time, take some slow, deep breaths, relax, have some nice favorite music on, enjoy that moment, those moments when you're kind of bringing in the ideas as to what that would look like. And if the, oh no, I can't look that far ahead, fear comes up, tell it, go away. Not right now. You can come back later. But right now I'm doing this. And I'm going to look at what I would love to have in my life 3, 5, 10 years from now. And with that fear, if you're thinking, oh, there's going to be this challenge and that possible complication, this obstacle, well, of course there are. That's life. That's the human condition and situation. That's what makes the world go round. It's not if things are going to happen, it's when. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bypass those, whatever obstacles and challenges along the way, and look at, we've survived all those. And we're at this beautiful, most amazing destination of holding our baby. So you look at the what would I love with regards to your health, the family, the baby. But there's other areas in your life that we want to also make sure you include some thought about, whether it's 1 or 2 phrases or it's another paragraph. That might be the easier place to start. So what does your relationship look like 5 years down the road? What is work like 5 years down the road? Not what you think it might with regards to, oh, that manager and what I would have to achieve to get there. What would you love? So let's say you're a lawyer and maybe you're on this path for partner, and you're thinking, oh, well, 5 years from now, if I did this, this, and this, and that didn't happen, and especially if I didn't have babies, I could be partner. If you would really love to be a partner 5 years from now, include that in your vision. Forget about the how. We don't want to lean about the how. We're going to let the universe or God, whatever is you connect with, that, universal life force energy, we're going to let that piece worry about the how. We're just worrying about the what. We're just leaning into what would I love. That's the thoughts that we want to lean into. So the 4 main areas that I talk about is health and wellness. So this is the baby making piece. Relationships, so your partner, your friends and family, your coworkers and other people like that. The third one is your vocation. So what you do for work or where you spend your time and energy. And the fourth one is your time and money freedom. So things like your travel, your holidays, the car you drive, the house you live in, those kinds of things, what those things are like. And if you're wondering, where does things like my spirituality come in? Well, that would be relationship with yourself. So that's really important to know that that is one of the pieces that is in there. And that health and wellness piece isn't just blood tests and doctors. It's how do you sleep? How well do you eat? How does your body feel when you move? Like how wonderful it is to live in your human suit. Well, what is it like? How do you enjoy that? So I want you to take a moment and just take a breath and dive into, what could possibly be in these four different categories. And I'm going to get you to take a moment and really think about what it is that you would love. Really dive into how wonderful it is holding your baby, not how wonderful it will be. It's in the present tense. How wonderful is it holding your baby? For me, I was very clear as a child. I could see myself when I was playing, having tea parties with my stuffies and being a mother to my dollies, that I only mothered 2 dollies. Then I guess my parents were very stereotypical. Both of my dollies were girls, but I was adamant one was going to be a boy and one was going to be a girl. And one of my dollies wore pants and the other one wore a night dress. So I guess that's how, in my little girl mind, I distinguished the difference. And so just take a few breaths and lean into what is that for you? Because what you think about, how you feel about it, will lead to the different actions that you're going to take. And then we'll give you the results that you would love. The next piece we're going to look at is the words you use. Words have meaning, they have power. And so we want to make sure that you're leaning into not what do I want, what would I love? And so make a list. It could be like a grocery-like list of things that you want in your health and wellness. And so if you're thinking of things like, I want to, not be tired, and I want to feel well, and I want to eat healthy. So tired is, it's a negative word. What is the opposite? Energized, vibrant, full of vitality, having a dynamic energy. So this is where we want to look at your words with approach goals, as in positive terms, so that you can lean into having this piece that you would really, really love. And it's okay to write it down in a list, and you can add in the other pieces we're going to go over next. And as I said earlier, and we'll stress here now with the words, your verbs best serve you in the present tense. I'm so happy that I fall asleep easy and I wake rested and I'm full of energy for the rest of my day. It's so much better than, well, I look forward to the time when I could fall asleep easily and maybe I'll wake up energized and have that, feeling ready to do my day. The second one's not so great. The first one is you want to write it in a positive tone with the present tense, not in the future. Because if it's in the future, you're always out there grasping for it and reaching for it. And we want you to be embodying it right now. The next piece is you can be very specific. I was very specific. 2 babies, a boy first and a girl second. That wasn't a lot of specifics, but that was in my head since I was, knee-high to a grasshopper, as my grandmother would say. And so very specific. So in my vision, where I talk about when I fall asleep easily and I wake up refreshed after sleeping 7 consecutive hours every night, 7 consecutive hours. When I first leaned into that piece, I was getting 6 hours of broken sleep up 3 times. So, it may take time to get there. It could be 2 weeks, 2 months. For me, that sleep piece, it did take about 2 years. But when you lean into some of the specifics of what that's like, then sometimes it will just make that results skyrocket and it'll come to you so much quicker. And sometimes it's always good to just feel better now. And better is a step up from being overwhelmed, feeling helpless, feeling like a failure. So sometimes feeling good is so much better. It's a little bit vague, general, but it is a step in the right direction because it's positive. So The specifics with the words, we want to make sure you don't talk about losing weight, because if you lose weight, it's like losing your phone. I want my phone back. So we don't want to lose weight. We want to release weight, or we want to be at our target goal weight, whatever that is. So things to be aware of, as well as things like pain-free, debt-free. Well, when you're talking about being pain-free and debt-free and the words and things you use along with that, stay that way. Well, you're saying the word pain an awful lot. I know you're saying free and you're saying debt a lot, and you know you're saying free, but you know, the universe doesn't hear that free part. So if you want to be financially stable, have financial abundance, be financially savvy, be financially independent. It may take a little getting used to the words, but it will do you better than the harm of debt-free. Same with pain, that I feel comfortable in my body. I feel energized. I have so much vitality. You know, I can exercise and just don't even mention pain or not, just what are the things that you can do. Or maybe it's just you can sit on the floor with the kids and, you know, do whatever is really easy. So words have power, and be specific with those words. The next piece is using all of your senses. So we have 5 main senses that most people are aware of. There's 2 more that are more technical about balance and sense and where you are in time and space that are not as helpful. But we want to work on the 5 senses of what do you see? What do you hear? What can you taste and smell? What do you touch? So they're all very important in pieces as to what you're leaning into with your vision. And then the last piece is the emotions, because we want to make sure our vision has the emotions that we want to be experiencing about the day that we're writing about. And so we want to have lots of positive emotions. It's filled with love and delight and happiness and pleased, you know, whatever other words come to mind. You know, yes, sometimes it's, oh, I love my son and he's so cute and all the little antics that he has. And if there's a negative in there when you're describing it, we'll just drop that aside. You don't need that piece of the detail because it's not going to serve. So we want to look at bringing that delight, that fun, that, you know, just when you love something, you know, maybe you had a dog growing up, and how did you love that dog? You didn't like the dog, you loved that puppy dog. And when you were a child, when you were doing something and you're having fun, how much easier was it to do? Did you notice any aches and pains and, you know, all the icky stuff that we talk about now as adults when you were having fun as a kid? Likely not. So we want to lean into those positive emotions, those elevated feeling tones, and that fun sense of fun, so that we really can up the level on our beautiful baby blueprint. And with those emotions and fun tone, we want to add a lot of gratitude, that thankfulness, the being blessed, whatever words that fit with you and your personality in your life. And so now that we have all of those different items as how we're going to lean into writing our beautiful baby blueprint, I would love to read to you, share with you right now, one that a client sent back to me. And let's dive into this. She was talking 5 years out, and this is what she wrote. I'm so happy and grateful now that John and I are on holiday with Victoria and the grandparents. We are in Disney for the very first time. It's so adorable how John gets up first to make breakfast and the coffee. I can smell it now from the bedroom. And as I roll out of bed with my rounded belly, I am greeted with the star soccer player as he's awoken from his slumber in my belly, and with Victoria's giggles coming from the kitchen. She's helping Daddy make pancakes, and her idea of having chocolate chip pancakes means pouring in the entire bag of chocolate chips. He's so patient with her. It's lovely. After morning kisses, and oh, how I love the smell of Victoria's clean hair and how beautiful those radiant red curls look. I hear the door, and as I walk over, I let the grandparents in for the feast. Sitting down for the meal, Victoria volunteers to say the blessing as she reaches for Nana and Grandma's hands. I am so lucky to have such a wonderful family. Thank you, God, for all of this. This or something even better. And so that was one of my clients' first attempts at putting this all together. And I think she did a smack up job. She said she was only looking at her fertility and having the babies, but I mentioned to her that she did include, well, have they ever gone to Disney before? So that reflects on time and money freedom. It could reflect on their jobs that everybody gets to go and that they were able to include both sets of grandparents. And that includes the relationships with the grandparents. So it does encompass a little bit of everything. And it's beautiful because the emotions were there. The senses were there. She's hearing the giggles, she's kissing, and she's seeing that beautiful red curls. And then seeing the holding hands, the touching. And then the specifics with the location. They were in Disney and it was the first time. And she had one, Victoria. We didn't describe her age, but the soccer player is in her belly and he's on his way. And all the family is present. So it's just an amazing testament as to when you lean into what you would love, that you can really make a difference. Better than even all the tests that you can do, priming up with all the other medications, maybe even leaning into IVF or other assisted fertility techniques. And so the pearl with all this is that you're not just going to write this down and set it aside like many people do with their New Year's resolutions. And that's why over 85% of New Year's resolutions, probably even higher, just go by the wayside in less than 6 weeks, is because they have the best of intentions. They write things down. They think they're going to lean into them. And you have been now very specific with senses and emotions and feeling tones. So you've really looked at the positive approach goals and leaning into this. But if you don't work with it every day, how's it going to make a difference? So the recommendation is that Dr. Karen is prescribing that you work with your beautiful baby blueprint twice a day until you achieve it. Yes, that may seem like an arduous thing to do, a hard thing to do, something to do all the time, every day, twice a day. Well, let me ask you this. How much do you really want to have a baby? And if you say, I really want to have a baby, well, let's do this. Lean in, write your beautiful baby blueprint, write that vision, and do it twice a day. So that's a paragraph. How long did that take me to read? 1 minute. And so, yes, writing pen to paper really turns on that brain-body connection and really up the ante with that. But if you feel more like you'd be better served putting in the computer, typing it in so you can shift things, change things around, it's easier to rework and rewrite. Well, if that's what it takes to get it done for you, then do it on the computer. Maybe you're a person who'd like to record it into your smartphone. And actually, when you record it into your smartphone, make sure that you're feeling great on that wonderful day where you're feeling full of energy, you're feeling very refreshed, whether it's you've just exercised, whether you love being out in the sun, whatever it is that's for you, so that when you hear it, because then you're going to play it twice a day, that you're really going to have that vibration carry you forward, and it's going to carry you up till you reach that North Star, that beautiful baby blueprint, that what would you love results. And then you can do that in a number of ways. When you listen to it, when you read it, maybe if it's short enough, it's something that you can rewrite. Maybe once a week, you're going to lean into some journaling and work with that. And all this is going to come around full circle so that you can really achieve what it is that you truly desire and would love. And everybody's different. I'm not sure if it's going to take you 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. It will make a difference. I can guarantee that piece. Let's recap what I went over today. So your beautiful baby blueprint is your vision, your North Star guiding you to what you would love. And the one question, the only question you need to ask yourself is this power question. What would I love? And when you're writing out what you would love, you're going to lean into the timing of it, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. You're going to look at the words you're using. Make sure that they are full of positivity and being approach goals. We don't want negative things in this. We want it to be in the present tense. We want to fill it with gratitude, all those positive emotions and energies, so that it just rises. And when we're feeling low, it can raise our own vibration. Be specific, have some details in there so that you can truly attract what it is that you would love. We want to lean into the senses because you can embody it when you know what you're tasting, what you're touching, what you're seeing. And you're going to work with it every day, ideally twice a day, because when you set yourself up for success, your best days are the days that you start looking at the night before. So before bed and in the morning, these are the prime times to really raise your vibration and make a difference with working with your vision. Because it's not the pieces that you can do that makes a difference. It's not the how stuff. It's the what stuff that will propel you forward. It is over 90% of what's going to make the difference for you to go from where you are today to holding your baby in your arms. Because I believe you can do it. And if sometimes you're not feeling like you can do that, if you don't believe in yourself, I invite you to come borrow my belief, because I do believe in you. I believe that every woman who desires to have a baby can and does. I hope you can join me next week as I'm going to go over some of the hows. I know we talked today a lot about the what, and it can be quite intense. And next week, I'm going to start my series on the body basics, a series of 4 weeks on the hows, so that we can start leaning into the shifts for your body, so that we can totally align the mind-body connection. We're going to do some of the body pieces that will help reinforce the mind pieces to increase your pregnancy success. Thanks again for being here this week. It is always great, and I really love the time that we get to spend together. And if you're struggling or having challenges with your beautiful baby blueprint, go to my website at thebabymakinggenius.com and book a call. I'd love to help you improve and work on your beautiful baby blueprint so you can get closer and closer to that North Star, to holding that baby in your arms. Until we do it again next week, please remember to set your thermostat, because your history is not your destiny. And if you need to, borrow my belief, because I believe in you. Till then, reclaim your body's natural wisdom with me, Dr. Karen. My goal is to help you awaken, align, and amplify your mind-body connection to transform your fertility. Find free worksheets, instructional videos, our Facebook group, and more, including details on booking a free discovery session where we can create your personalized, beautiful baby blueprint today and get you closer to holding your baby. It's all online at www.thebabymakinggenius.com.
All content provided by Dr. Karen Stillman is not intended to replace medical help or advice from your doctor or healthcare provider. All content, including medications and visualizations, shall be regarded as self-help. Dr. Karen Stillman accepts no responsibility for any injury, loss, or damage as a direct or indirect result of using or relying on the information presented here, as she is not offering medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please see our full terms and conditions and privacy policy on the website at www.thebabymakinggenius.com.